Day 8 of the 90-day video challenge. And today we have to talk about what success means to me and what motivates me to stay successful or be more successful. I've actually been thinking quite a bit about what success means to me, and in a nutshell, I think the main thing it boils down to is success really is never giving up, because you haven't failed until you give up. So if you don't give up, that means you are successful, and I think that's the most important thing to me about what success means. If I look at our current difficult times, which is with the real estate development in Moranbah, even though it's been an extremely difficult time over 2 years, we have not given up, and we continue to manage it. At one stage, it just looked like a never-ending loss. Now there's sort of light at the end of the tunnel, and things are picking up. There's a lot of activity in the little town. The town's called Moranbah in central Queensland. So there's a lot of activity. The coal price has gone up. The mines are actually making more money than they ever have before. The only thing that they still haven't done is actually spend a lot on capital and start spending. They burnt their fingers too much in the down times. So no, we haven't given up. So that investment hasn't been a failure. Yes, it's hurt us, but it hasn't been a failure because we haven't given up, and we will continue, and we will see some profits come out of it in the long term. So yes, that's it. To me, success means never giving up. The other part of the question is what makes me want to be more successful or stay successful. That also, I had to think long and hard about that because it really goes back to my primary school days. I think it was my second last year in primary school when my parents got divorced. That, I think, for me was a real traumatic time because my father was my hero, and unfortunately my mom fell out of love with him and he had to leave. The next year she got married to another guy, my stepdad, and moved to another town, not far away, but I had to complete my primary school and board with one of my aunts. And I think it was when I was 13, yes, at 13 my father passed away. And that whole time when they got divorced and up until he passed away, even though I didn't realize it then, it had a massive impact on me. And my school years from there really suffered. I was never really a brilliant student, but I was managing. But from then on, I just didn't give a damn. I hardly listened at school. I was never sort of mentally there. Those days, you were still allowed to get hidings from the school teachers, and I had the record number of hidings in the school. I just sort of gave up on life. Not really life, but just gave up on anything that took any discipline. Unfortunately, when I left school, I'd actually failed the year 11, redid it, went to year 12, failed that, so I only ended up with a year 10 qualification. When I left school, and at that time, I remember one of my aunts saying to me that I'll never amount to anything, and that I will sweep the streets. Now, that in our South African culture at the time was the ultimate insult, and that stuck with me for life. And when I left school as a failure, I realized I had to do something about it. So then everything just sort of changed for me, and I knew I had to do whatever it took. I lied. I lied about my qualifications. I remember getting jobs that I was not qualified for, didn't have the right schooling for. But I got work, and then I went into the IT industry as a low-level computer operator. But I saw and admired these programmers who used to bring their boxes of code into the operating room, and we had to compile it for them. And I just knew I had to be one of those guys. Those days you had to do an IQ test for IT specifically, and I remember doing that IQ test. I think it was 7 times before I passed it. I never wanted to give up. I wanted so badly to be a programmer. The 7th time, I think I still didn't pass it, but the lady that assessed the IQ test, she said to me she had a feeling that I could make it as a programmer, and she allowed me to go and do the course. I then did the course, and eventually, after a number of years, got a job as a programmer. And I turned out to be a pretty good programmer. I did it for many years. But from that, even though I didn't realize it then, it was an ethos of just don't give up. Just keep trying until you get it done. And for me, that's what still today what motivates me. I want to, every success I have, and this sounds nasty, but I want to shove it under my aunt's nose who said I'd be a street sweeper. And I take a little bit of pleasure out of doing that. I think I've outgrown that now, but I think that is what motivates me, is that I never want to be a failure. Thanks. We'll chat tomorrow.